Erik Ten Hag during the preseason tour. I tell you what, this series that I've done on United People's TV, I've said it quite a few times in the live streams. It's been, I think, the most enjoyable series I've done. I hope you've enjoyed it too. From day one of the preseason, we've looked at all the training videos and how he's been developing this team. And in this video, I want to take a look at how all the work has developed and how we are seeing the fruits of that work now. So please would you, if you drop a like on this video, this will be the last one of this preseason tour, where I deep dive into what we've seen in the preseason training drills, the open training sessions, and how that's developed into results, into performances, and all the nuances and the changes that we've seen from everything and all the work that Erik Ten Hag has done so far at Manchester United and the beginnings of the Erik Ten Hag era. So as I said, please make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe to United People's TV if you have enjoyed these. I really, really would love to have you on board, because all of this, remember, ladies and gents, it's all build up to the season. All of this is just the excitement for what's coming next. We haven't got to the juicy part yet. We haven't got to the main event. This has just been a nice long starter. That's what it is. But you'll know that I covered in detail right back from the very first training session. You remember this video? This is Erik Ten Hag explaining the passing drill. Pass it onto your foot, move it across. The players, they were taking it, and people were sort of laughing, going, oh man, look at the lack of intensity in this passing drill. That was the exact drill that I looked at before the preseason drain started. And yeah, bit by bit, the players have become better and better and better. And we actually had Troy, big up to Troy. He was in the preseason, the open training yesterday in Perth, got a couple of videos for us. And this one in particular, I thought, kind of shows how the training drills have developed a little bit. Pull this one on. You can see the cones in the middle. And they are there. So, for two reasons. One, so that the players don't kick them down by hitting them with the balls, but also that defenders have to avoid them. So it's a big development of that training drill. A little bit loud, really, isn't it? So, as I say, it's a big development of the original training drill. Of being good with possession, but also adding that element of accuracy into it. It's not just speed anymore. And I think that's, if we compare that to week one, we can see how that's changed. Going back to this one, I think this is an interesting one too, because there's been such a big focus on one-touch football, one-touch passing, but it's not all about that as well. This video in particular is all about opening up the space with the first touch. I won't speak in this one. Actually, no, sorry, I will. Passing there, look at the touch going round the cone. It's the idea of using that first touch to create the space that would allow you to create the pass on the second touch. That's the concept of it, right? Not always natural to United players. It's something that he's trying to change. And for all of these players to be better in possession, better with the ball at their feet, better at receiving a pass, and better at sending a pass away. And of course, it's all well and good seeing all that. The thing is, we've started to see it in the performances too, which I will go into next. But the absolute, I would say, core fundamental of everything that we've seen in all of these preseason videos, and that is Ten Hag's focus on discipline. I pulled this video up at the start, but this is just an excellent little one, isn't it? It just makes me laugh. Absolutely rubbish. It's like he's genuinely offended that Zidane's not kept that on the floor there. Zidane Iqbal has had a great preseason so far. But he is a disciplinarian. And we all knew that that was going to be an exciting element of him coming into the club because of how bad our discipline has been. But you heard Bruno Fernandes speaking about it this week. He goes, we needed that. We all needed that as players. We needed that discipline brought into the team. And off the pitch, I covered it before we went out on the preseason tour. It's those 5 rules that he's brought in. James Ducker here from The Telegraph just updating us on what those are. He goes, fines and punishments for being late to team meetings, meals and training. A ban on phones at meal times, which must be taken together. No consumption of alcohol during match weeks. Regular BMI checks to ensure players in shape. No sneaky McDonald's on the way home. And players being encouraged to eat club-prepared meals rather than use their personal chefs. And we've seen all the photos of everything during this preseason tour. From players getting down and dirty, doing press-ups as punishment for getting stuff wrong, even the goalkeepers too. But all the hard work that goes in. I mean, preseason is hard work. You've had a little bit of time off. You're not as fit as you were before. Let's get back into it. That's the main concept of preseason. And the players, this is probably one of my favourite photos of the whole tour. Just as I think that's Sancho and Maguire. both absolutely floored by what's going on with Erik Ten Hag's hard graft in training. But the thing is, right, and this is the beautiful part of it, is that we've seen that develop into results, and not just results. I don't care the fact. I mean, it's brilliant with the fact that we scored 11 goals in the first 3 games, but that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on the performances. The performances of these 3 up front is giving United fans a bit of hope going into next season. When there's no doubt that we need more signings, and Erik Ten Hag has said that, and we will cover that later in the video. But there's just a big unity among the players. From Donny van der Beek in that performance in the last game, he seemed to know his role. He seemed to, obviously he understands the Ten Hag way, but hell, I hope that Donny can come through. To Tyrell Malacia, and how well and how quickly he has settled in at Manchester United, becoming like a perfect symbol of this new Manchester United team that Erik Ten Hag is building. Tyrell Malacia has been brilliant. Diogo Dalot, probably one of the biggest surprises, I would say, of the pre-season tour. Massively took me by surprise. We've all known that he's had natural qualities going forward, but his delivery has questionable. But I'll tell you one thing that's massively changed with our fullbacks. They're not just swinging crosses in, are they? They're running and they're trying to do cutbacks, and the cutbacks are creating far better opportunities for this team. But it's everybody, and that's the big thing, I would say, is complete unity that I've seen on this pre-season tour so far. I haven't seen one player, not even like a sneaky video from training that someone's recording, like a bit of dissent, getting angry with what they're doing. Everyone's got their heads down. Everyone's listening to the manager, and they are following through on the instructions. Not one person, not one player has spoken out in public in a frustrated way. Going, obviously, everyone's going to be expecting hard work in the preseason. I think this preseason is probably a little bit more intense than they would have expected. But they're all settling in. They're all settling into Ten Hag's style. And I tell you who else is settling in. And maybe this is kind of overlooked, but this particular video I think is quite important. I think so anyway. Ten Hag's settling in. And this is from his press conference ahead of the game against Aston Villa. Just this little bit to start.
Erik, Simon's told me BBC. I know. Good.
Just a big beaming smile on his face. Again, you can say I'm looking into this too much, but in terms of body language, I think these first few weeks would have been just as difficult for Erik Ten Hag as they would have been for all the players. Maybe not as physically, but in terms of the scale of the job that he had on his hands, these first few weeks were so crucial for Erik Ten Hag to getting to know his players, to getting his point across. And I think he's done that. And I think we've seen the reaction from all the players. We've seen the response on the pitch and off the pitch. Everybody's involved. Everyone's putting in the same direction. And creating that unity was such a big part of Ten Hag's job, and I think he's done a very good job straight away. Of course, he's not getting carried away. Ten Hag has made it absolutely clear that Manchester United need to make more signings if success is going to come. He's not looking at this and going, oh, I'll tell you what, I've got enough. I don't need a new attacker. I think we can cope with that. No, he wants De Jong, and he wants an attacker, whether that's Anthony or somebody else. He's not getting carried away with it. But just the preseason, regardless of what happens in that game tomorrow against Aston Villa, the preseason's gone very well. A loss in that game against Aston Villa will not change my opinion on that. A win against Aston Villa will only, I suppose, solidify it. But I hope we can get a win. I hope we can make it 4 out of 4 and just keep that little bit of momentum going. Preseason results don't really create momentum that much, but we're going into Carrington next week. After all of this, joining up on Monday is going to be Christian Eriksen and Lisandro Martinez. 2 more pieces into that puzzle. 2 more generals that he can now use as examples and say, look, this is how I want you to be. You've seen how much of an impact I think Tyrell Malacia has had straight away. I think the same thing can be said of Christian Eriksen and Lisandro Martinez. 2 players that Ten Hag will be able to point towards and say, right, there you go. This is how you do it. I've been so impressed. I really have. Not only by Ten Hag and what he's been doing, but honestly, I've actually been pretty damn impressed by the players too. I think they've responded well. They've taken it all on board. No one's really slumped off in a huff. There's been not one peep from any journalist about any dissent inside the camp. Everybody seems to be putting in the same direction and following Ten Hag and listening to Ten Hag. That's why we've been able to see these performances, team performances, and these sorts of team goals that we haven't seen that in a while, have we? We haven't seen the sort of football we're playing. It's exciting going forward. And honestly, I think we've seen massive development in these first few weeks. And I like to think that I've given you a bit of an insight into how that's happened with all these videos. So please, I'll say one more time, drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to United People's TV. I'd love doing this pre-season tour series. I'd like to do it more across the season. And it's good to see good content being well received. That puts a big smile on my face. Just like United playing well. But look, thank you all, everybody. And take it easy. And hopefully we can beat Aston Villa. Make it 4 out of 4. Why not?